Alrighty, cherubs. So today we're going to be talking about Buddhism. We're going to be starting our new unit in East and South Asia. Because Buddhism is such a big part of that, we're going to focus here first, and then we'll move into individual sections from there. Alrighty? As always, here are the list of videos. Make sure you give them a watch. Now, just an FYI, the number 5 video, Wu Zetian, this video is going to be a full-length documentary. This isn't just a clip. So feel free to give the other ones, absolutely give the other ones a watch for this lecture. But number 5, I've included the Wu Zetian in case you're interested. It's a super fascinating story. I highly recommend you watch it, but by no means am I going to require that because it's an hour long. So just keep that in the back of your mind. Now, the number 6, Wu Zetian and the Longmen Grottos, please absolutely give that one a watch because, again, it's like 3 minutes long and it connects the two. So today's theme is going to be the end of suffering, and I want you to, remember that because that is going to be the kind of the theme for Buddhism and kind of what Buddhism is all about. All right. Now, these are our pieces for today. I'm going to scooch myself over here just a skosh. Okay, so these are our pieces for the day. I've included not only the AP number, the number of the piece, but I've also included the page number in your book. And this is to help you find it because there is going to be, if you check out these numbers, we're jumping around in the book kind of a lot. These aren't all conveniently placed right next to each other. So go ahead and grab a Post-it and jot these page numbers down as well as the AP number so that you can find the piece as we're talking about it. Okay? So you can see we've got 2 stupas, we've got 2 statues, and a cave system. All right, a man-made cave system. So go ahead and give John Green a watch here. And I've indicated the times on the side that he's talking about the Buddha. Okay, so go ahead and give that a watch. Now, Buddhism comes from a person named Siddhartha Gautama. Siddhartha Gautama was an Indian prince who lived a life of luxury. He was kept secluded from the world, and he was a practicing Hindu. All right, and as such, he believed in karma, dharma, samsara, these things. Because of his life, because he was sheltered, he didn't understand much of how the world worked. And so he would occasionally escape the palace and kind of venture out into the world. And on these trips, when he escaped, he was able to observe the harsher realities of life, that people suffered, that people got sick, and that people died. This shakes him to his core. He leaves home and tries different methods to find happiness, to what's the purpose of life, all right? He eventually settles on the middle path where he living rightly, okay? Living a good life. And he's able to achieve enlightenment, which means he's able to be fully in control of his actions. He's able to see the outcome and know what his actions will do. Which doing so breaks the wheel of reincarnation. Okay, so he's able to break samsara and achieve. Now, in Hinduism, the idea when you break the wheel, it's called moksha, and in Buddhism, it's called nirvana. Okay, so that's where that term comes from, is from the Buddhist tradition. So we break the wheel of reincarnation. Now, in Hinduism, that achieving moksha takes millennia, it takes lifetimes of building up good karma by fulfilling your dharma, and eventually you will break the wheel. You'll get off. and rejoin the cosmic oneness. Buddhism is going to say you can do it in a single lifetime, and that's going to appeal to a lot of Hindus. Okay. There are a couple different branches, like all world religions. There's a couple different main branches. There's Theravada Buddhism, which is kind of more generally South Asia, and Mahayana Buddhism, which is going to be more like China Buddhism. Theravada is going to be more individual, more meditative. Mahayana is going to be more ritual based. And the Buddha is going to take on a different role, kind of more of a savior type role. Now, it's important to know that there's more than one Buddha. Okay, Christianity has one Christ. Christ is Greek for the anointed one, the Messiah. Buddhism isn't like that. Buddhism, the point is that you want everyone to achieve enlightenment. So, and as soon as you do achieve enlightenment, you become a Buddha. Siddhartha Gautama is not the only Buddha. He's just the first. Okay? So that's why he's important. Now, the Four Noble Truths they're the things, the teachings that he's going to realize in his lifetime, the wisdom that he gains in his life, that life, it leads to suffering. Okay? Suffering is caused by desire, and that you end suffering when you end desire for anything. All right. And you achieve that. You get rid of desire by living the Eightfold Path, basically living a good life, that you're going to see the world correctly. You're going to practice mindfulness, that you're going to concentrate, that you're going to have effort behind your actions, that your role in life is correct, that you do the right things, you speak correctly, your intentions are good, and you see the world as a whole. Okay? So living the Eightfold Path is going to get you to nirvana in this lifetime without having to go through endless cycles of reincarnation. Okay? Now, again, the two branches, Theravada and Mahayana, we've got a whole bunch of... In Theravada, again, it's more of an individual... Buddhism is generally more individualized than Christianity. But in Theravada Buddhism, it's going to be more of a monastic tradition. And it's going to be really individual. Whereas in Mahayana, you're going to have more rituals to perform. Visually, we're going to get a lot more stuff with the Mahayana. Again, universal salvation for all humanity, the Buddha is going to take on more of a savior type role up here when it migrates to China. And they're also going to introduce the concept of the bodhisattva. Now, a bodhisattva is a person who has achieved enlightenment. They've become a Buddha, but rather than rejoining cosmic oneness, what they're doing is they decide instead to stay on Earth and help people, others, obtain enlightenment. So the nearest corollary that I can think of in Christianity would be like a saint. Okay, so Buddhahood, achieving rejoining the cosmic oneness, achieving nirvana, achieving enlightenment is up here, and a bodhisattva, so someone who has achieved Buddhahood but remains on Earth to help other people, that's a bodhisattva, and you're going to need to know that term. Okay, now when we get the Buddha in art, we're going to see him look like this, okay? Where he's going to show up with some telltale markers. He's got what's called the Ushnisha, the cranial bump, right here, okay? He's going to have the Urna, and let me grab a pen tool here. He's going to have the Urna here, the dot on the forehead, which is going to indicate his spiritual self, his spiritual side, his spiritual eye, all right? He's going to have these elongated earlobes, ears stretched out. That's to show that he was a prince. He's got this noble heritage, okay? He's going to have sometimes on his feet, you're going to see wheels. Not always, but sometimes. Now, originally, when you have old Buddhism, they're not going to depict the Buddha. His depictions only come later, kind of like Christianity, where originally they didn't depict Christ. Same thing in Buddhism. Originally, they're not going to depict the Buddha outright, but they are going to indicate him in other ways by like an umbrella to indicate, oh, there was a noble person, i.e. the Buddha, or sometimes just his footprints, and they'll just and we'll see this later, they'll carve his footprint. That's going to look something, generic footprint. But then on the meaty part of the foot, then they're going to depict these wheels. Okay, so you're going to see that, and that's going to be symbolic of the Buddha. All right. Now, he's also going to be sitting on this lotus throne. The lotus indicates purity. All right. And you're going to see his hands in different positions. And the positions are significant because those are called mudras. And each mudra, each hand position means something. So, for example, in this drawing of the Buddha, this hand motion, this mudra right here, he's reaching out and he's touching the earth. So after he achieves enlightenment, he reaches out his hand and he lays his hand on the earth for the earth to bear witness to what has just happened. And so that's what's happening here with this mudra. Okay? We're going to take a look at some other mudras here in just a second. And often you're going to be getting the life of the Buddha depicted in art. Okay, so you're going to see him, his life, his birth, his teachings, etc. So kind of like Christ in Christian art, where they depict the life of Mary, and you're going to be getting depictions of Siddhartha Gautama's mother on the way to give birth to the noble prince, etc. Okay. All right, so here are some, again, different mudras that you can see here in Buddhist art. Again, not all of them, but just some examples. So you don't need to know what the different mudras mean. Okay, so the enlightenment here, this is what I was talking about, where he reaches out and he touches the earth. Now, Hinduism, again, Buddhism, it can be said, grows out of Hinduism, though Hinduism isn't actually going to be codified till a little bit later, kind of about the same time that Buddhism is. Okay? But they're similar. There's overlap. Just like there's overlap between Islam and Christianity and Judaism, there's going to be some overlap here. And that overlap is that belief in karma, dharma, and that reincarnation. Okay? So your ultimate goal in Hinduism is moksha, while your ultimate goal in Buddhism is nirvana. Essentially the same thing. Okay. You've got different paths to get there. Again, Hinduism is going to take a long time. Buddhism, you can do it in this life. So our first piece, we're going to start in India. And it's the Great Stupa at Sanchi. Now, the Great Stupa at Sanchi is a stupa. It's this mound, okay? Now, a stupa it's meant to resemble a burial mound, is the point. And so it's circular, again, dome of heaven, iconography, but it's meant to symbolize a burial mound. And oftentimes a stupa is going to be built over a relic of the Buddha. So the Great Stupa at Sanchi, 300 BCE to 100 CE is when it was constructed, going to be made out of sandstone. Now you see that this gate, or this fence that goes around it, it looks like it's made out of wooden logs, but in fact it's made out of stone, of at one point it did have a wooden fence, but then they reconstructed it in stone. But it looks like the original wood fence. The Great Stupa at Sanchi does have these Torana gates, these highly symbolic, highly decorative gates, because you're going to see here that there's not going to be much imagery on the stupa itself. It's pretty plain. You have a little fenced off section up at the top with some symbolic umbrellas up at the top, but then the gates are really where you're going to be getting a lot of symbology. Okay, so what you do is it's oriented, to the cardinal directions. And you walk in and you circumambulate, because that's what you do. The stupa is not like, you can't go inside of it. It's solid. There's no door. There's nothing to go inside of. It's just this dome. Okay, but you circumambulate, you meditate, you pray while contemplating the life of the Buddha and the miracle of his enlightenment. Okay, and get close to his relics. Okay, so kind of like it's a pilgrimage site. So just like we've seen with the Chartres Cathedral, and just like we saw with Sainte Foy, this one's going to be a pilgrimage site as well, holding a holy relic of the Buddha. And just inside you see a statue of the Buddha. So again, the imagery here is going to be, this is going to be added later, because the stupa at Sanchi is going to be pretty early. And so the decorative sculptures that we see here are added later, when that's going to be considered okay. So on the Torana gate, you're going to be getting different deities. All right, different fertility deities. Now, Buddhism does allow for different deities. Buddhism's really open as far as you can believe in a multiplicity of gods. You can believe in one god. You can believe in no gods, and Buddhism will still work. So in this earlier form here at Sanchi, they do have a belief in a multiplicity of gods. Okay, and they're going to be depicted here on the Torana gate. You're getting the lotus as the lotus blossoms depicted. You're going to be getting the Buddha depicted as far as his footprints on the Torana gate. You're going to be given the wheels, the spirals here, wheel of reincarnation. So again, the stupa here is oriented to it's an axis mundi. Okay, and it's absolutely designed to be that. So again, we've got our symbolic umbrellas up at the top, our 4 gates that let you enter, and then you circumambulate. Okay, so this is the Great Stupa at Sanchi. Now go ahead and give this clip of the stupa a watch. A stupa does not have to be a building. Okay, it can be a vessel, it can be a container, like literally like a reliquary, like the reliquary of Sainte Foy. It can be small, or it can just be symbolic. It does not have to contain a relic. It can just be symbolic of that burial mound and symbolic of the relics. Okay, so this stupa in Midvale, I was driving back from the dentist. My dentist is out in Sandy, and I was driving back from the dentist, and I took this side street, and I was like driving along. I'm like, wait, what? So I turn around. I'm like, go jump out, take a picture. There's this Thai Buddhist temple right there in Midvale with this stupa. Like, hey, that's pretty cool. So yeah, again, the idea being that it is symbolic of the burial mound of the Buddha. So here are our notes. Okay. So each gate is going to be symbolic of a life in the moment of, here, let me grab the pen. a moment from the life of the Buddha. Okay, so we've got his birth, his enlightenment, his first sermon, and when he achieves nirvana. Okay, when he passes. Again, meant for circumambulation. It is, let's see, okay, the chhatra, the parasol, the umbrellas up at the top, symbolic of high rank, honor, and to shelter the relics. Okay. And this is going to be commissioned by the first emperor of India who converts to Buddhism, Ashoka. Okay. So Buddhism is going to start in India, but Buddhism doesn't, it initially takes hold there, but then it's going to migrate out into other parts of Asia. And today, Buddhism doesn't have a really big presence in India proper. Okay. So moving along, we're going to head up here into Tibet. So Tibet was annexed by China, and so is up there, right here. Okay. And the piece that we're looking at is the Jowo Rinpoche. Jowo Rinpoche is in the Lhasa Temple. It's in Lhasa, the Jokang Temple in Lhasa. So this is Tibetan Buddhism, which is going to be, if you compare this to what we just saw at Sanchi, this is a lot more ornate, okay? Now, the head of Tibetan Buddhism you've probably heard of, this is the Dalai Lama, okay? This statue is really special for Tibetan Buddhism. It is a statue depicting Siddhartha Gautama, and it's made out of gold, it's gilt metal, probably bronze, with this like shocking blue hair, and he sits on this throne. So this is a throne, and he's surrounded by candles and offering vessels and a table, and on the throne he's got these dragons. Okay, he is crowned, he is clothed, he's wearing a simple like monk's tunic, okay, but then he does get clothes and such added onto him later. So kind of like other things that we've seen, that you have these statues that get like in Hinduism, like you get these or Mary statues that get adorned with actual clothes. You're going to see that here as well. Now, Jowo Rinpoche is important to Tibetan Buddhism because it's said to be made, and check out the date, 640 CE. It's said to be made from the likeness of Siddhartha Gautama. Okay, it's said to like he posed for the sculpting of this statue. So it's going to become a very, very, very important relic in Tibetan Buddhism because it dates all the way back. They can trace its lineage all the way back to the original Siddhartha Gautama. Again, like the veracity of the holy relics, that's a matter of faith, okay? Whether or not this is the face of Siddhartha Gautama or not. During the Cultural Revolution, when China annexed Tibet, this statue is going to disappear, which is going to be a major blow for Tibetan Buddhism. This is going to be seen as a disaster, and it's only going to be recovered early in the 21st century, in which it is restored and put back together, because it's going to be found in pieces. And so they're going to put it back together. And so parts of it still are missing, like a piece of his neck is still missing and such. Okay. So we see again depiction of Buddha Sakyamuni, Siddhartha Gautama. Okay, he's sitting on his jeweled throne. He is doing the mudra where he's touching the earth, and his other mudra is of meditation. Okay. So again, this is going to be enshrined in the Joking Temple, which is the oldest temple for Tibetan Buddhism. Very, 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 very old. Okay. And that is Jowo Rinpoche. Okay. Now, moving on to China, we've got a system of caves, because Buddhism is going to travel to China and become adopted as the state religion there. You're going to see some giant statues carved into. Buddhism's going to love these caves. The idea of the cave, where you enter into the earth, and stupas are going to be there, where you enter into the bowel of the earth and you meditate there. So we're going to see caves often associated with Buddhism. And so at this site, these are the Longmen Caves. At this site, you're going to find, you can see all the little holes here in this image, that these caves, these grottos, have been carved. And so what would happen is that it was considered to be a holy site, and you would pay an extraordinary amount of money to carve a little shrine there for you and your family. Okay, if you were well-to-do, you could afford this luxury, and so by so doing, impress upon yourself into to prove your devotion. Okay, so we can see how this relates to the temple at Karnak, where they are adding on to the pharaohs, or adding on to that temple complex to show their piety. Buddhist families here in China are going to be doing essentially the same thing. Now, some of the Buddhas are going to be quite large. So this Buddha right here is quite large. Now, these figures flanking are bodhisattvas. Okay, those helper Buddhas. And then, and some are, I think the smallest is an inch tall. So there's many thousands of Buddhas carved at this site, and it is quite extensive. Okay. Now, Buddhist monks are going to come also to, and so it's not just these little shallow niches that are carved into it. They're going to be rooms and chambers and passageways, and Buddhist monks are going to come here and live and meditate as well. So you can see these little outcroppings. Okay, these little, again, indicating the network of caves or tunnels that are behind these statues. Now, this guy right here is a lightning guardian. Okay, he holds the lightning and he guards the Buddhas, or the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. You can see his S. It's called an S curve stance. It's not quite contrapposto, but he throws out his hip, and he it's called an S curve stance. Okay, he's got this fierce face, meaning if your intentions are not good, don't come here. Okay. Now, the Buddha, the main Buddha here, now here's the story. This Buddha statue was commissioned by the single empress of China. And in all of China's long history, they had, count them, one ruling female, one empress. And which, again, causes major drama for the patrimony, okay? Causes a lot of angst for them. And so to impress herself upon her people and upon, to the Buddha, to the people that matter in religious circles, she creates this giant Buddha here at the Longmen Caves, and her name is Wu Zetian. Now, I tried to find a clip that would explain briefly the life of Wu Zetian, but I could not show any of them in class without, I wanted to keep my job. Let's put it that way. So Wu Zetian was an educated young woman. She becomes the concubine, which at the time of the emperor, okay, which at the time was seen as being a positive. That was a positive thing. That was a major status symbol. While she is married and concubine with the emperor, she starts seeing the son of the emperor. And when the emperor dies, the son makes her first concubine because he's head over heels in love with her. Wu Zetian then, through political machinations, is able to oust the empress and become the empress herself in her own right. And then the son dies, or the emperor dies, and she's the last one standing, and she seizes control of the throne. So it's said that, again, well, she is going to commission this Buddha here, and it's, again, massive, to impress her subjects, impress the courtiers, impress the Buddha, okay, with her piety. But it's said that the Buddha is modeled after her face. Okay. Which is kind of this cool little story. Again, whether or not that is true, that's the story. But compared to Hatshepsut, all right, what Hatshepsut does with her depictions to depicting herself as masculine and building big structures to impress, like she's the legitimate ruler of Egypt, Wu Zetian is going to do similar things here in China. Okay, so go ahead and give these two clips a watch. This is a much bigger complex than what you're seeing here in this photograph. It extends for kilometers down the length of this river. It is extensive. So this is just kind of the focal point, is Wu Zetian's Buddha here. But it's by no means like the only part of the structure. So go ahead and give these videos a watch. They're going to give you some more information about the caves. Okay. And Wu Zetian herself, go ahead and here's the clip. That is clip nothing. It's a full-length documentary. If you want to know more about Wu Zetian, and I highly recommend it because she's a fascinating figure. But then here, do watch this one, please, because it's going to talk about her role at the Longmen Grotto. Okay. Oops. Oh. Okay. There we go. So we've got here at the caves exaggerated poses, and it's a collection of those Buddhist shrines, and it's going to span several dynasties here. So people are going to keep adding on. This isn't just like a once and done thing, like, oh, everyone come build your shrine. No, this was like through centuries of time, people are going to come to this site to carve their shrines here. So we've got 110,000 Buddha statues. We've got 60 stupas. We've got steles, 2,800 steles. We've got, okay, now the Vairocana Buddha is the Buddha that Wu Zetian makes. And Vairocana is the primordial Buddha. He's the Buddha that exists before the world began. Okay, the first. And you're going to get this here in Mahayana Buddhism, okay? It's where you're going to have this Buddha who exists before the world began, before Siddhartha Gautama, before the world was created. There was the Vairocana Buddha, okay, who kind of oversaw everything. So that Vairocana Buddha is who Wu Zetian is going to be depicting here, okay? Now, we're going to move down here to Java for our next piece. And our next piece, again, is an axis mundi. And we've got here, you can see the stupa form, but it's like the mega stupa. This is the largest Buddhist temple on the planet. And this is the Borobudur Temple here on the island of Java in Indonesia. And it rises out of this jungle, and it was only discovered I believe in the 19th century. So it is, check out the date. It's quite old, 750 CE, but then only rediscovered about 1,000 years later because the jungle is going to encroach in on it. Now you can see, hopefully you can see that it is a square base with surmounted by a circle, axis mundi. That's the point. It's recreating the cosmic mountain, the holy mountain. What you're supposed to be doing here is you come and you circumambulate. You come, you circumambulate. You rise up to the next level, you circumambulate. You rise up to the next level, you circumambulate. You rise up to the next level, you circumambulate, and so on. And the statues are going to change. So you're going to have the world of desire depicted down here, and the world of forms depicted down here, and then the world of formlessness depicted up here, where you've lost, it's where you're just, you reach the stupas, and you circumambulate, and then you circumambulate, and then you circumambulate, okay? And then you move up, and you keep going until you finally get to the top stupa. Now, within all of these little stupas, these are hollow, and they've got this kind of, and we'll see here in just a second, but they've got this kind of wicker, it's made out of stone, but it's got this kind of crisscross stonework, so you can see inside, and within each is a statue of the Buddha. Okay, so really, really cool. And some of the stupas are actually missing, and so we'll see that here in just a second, where the Buddha is just out in the open air. So, but again, it's so richly symbolic here. You are overcoming the world. You're achieving in your pilgrimage to Borobudur, and as you circumambulate, you're looking at the sculptures and the statues on this site. You are transcending the world, that you're actually going through the steps of the Buddhist soul to achieve nirvana, leaving the world of desire, the world of form, to the world of formlessness, rejoining the cosmic oneness. It's really, really cool. And again, it does represent that cosmic mountain to ascend to the heights. And it also is the form of a mandala. And if you've ever seen a Buddhist mandala, and you may have made them in art class at some point, but a mandala is a square and circle. It's geometric shapes like this, and it's a meditation device as well. And they're usually made out of sand, and then they're swept up, and after you make them, and you're supposed to meditate while making it and while viewing it, and you meditate to achieve enlightenment. You're supposed to do it for like days and days and days before you finally enter the mandala. It's really, really, really cool. So the whole thing becomes a mandala. So here is one of those, see what I'm talking about, that wicker form here with so you can see inside of the little Buddha statues peeking out at you. And then here's one where the stupa has been removed, and one of the Buddha statues that is there, exposed. But here you can see the cranial bump. You can see the elongated earlobes. You can see the mudras depicted. Okay. So go ahead and give this. It's going to walk you through Borobudur. Again, it's like a 2-minute video, and again a 2-minute like experience about a mandala. Just a little explanation more about what these things are. Okay, so go ahead and give. Jot these guys down, jot down the notes. We've got, again, it's an axis mundi. It is a pilgrimage site. It is a functional mandala, and you are meant to walk around it. It does have 405 life-size Buddhas. It is the largest Buddhist temple on the planet, with, narrative reliefs, 1,000, almost 500 narrative reliefs on 1,300 panels. It's incredibly massive. 1,500 stupas. 1 million carved blocks of stone. Okay. Let's see. All right. And one of those, they just wanted you to see some of the bas relief on the temple. But if you watch the video clips, they're going to show you more. But one is depicting the Queen Mother of Queen Maya, and she's going to be going kind of like Mary to Bethlehem. Maya is going to travel to give birth to Siddhartha Gautama, okay, the prince. she's not going to, but unlike Mary, she's going to like a royal retreat. So you can see that she's being covered, shielded from the sun by these umbrellas. You can see the dense, packed stonework. You can see the influence of uh, Indian statue of Hindu statue work, in that it is tightly packed. You've got horror vacui. Um, really, really cool. It's not nearly as high a relief as you would see on some of those other Hindu temples. It's a lower relief that we're getting here. That's what we're getting shown. Okay. Now, our last piece, we're going to scooch over west a little bit to Afghanistan. Now, Afghanistan is going to sit on the Silk Road. Okay? It's going to sit on the Silk Road here and kind of be the tailish end of that Silk Road before it gets picked up in Persia and moving on. So this is going to be the outpost of kind of the reach of Buddhism. Buddhism isn't really going to travel much further west than Afghanistan. And so in the 6, 7, 800s, Buddhism is going to travel, and it's going to come out here, and they're going to create this pilgrimage site. Okay? In the Bamiyan Valley. Again, they're going to construct in the mountainside in the Bamiyan Valley a series of caves, a series of tunnels, chambers, caves for monks to live. And it's going to become this pilgrimage site. And they're going to carve these giant statues into the rock face, into the mountain. So here is one of them. And there were 3, actually. 2 are standing up and 1 is reclining. In 2001, why the Bamiyan Buddhas are really salient and really significant. In 2001, the Taliban is going to come to power in Afghanistan, and they're going to see this ancient Buddhist site as pagan. Rather than being World Heritage, they're going to see it as pagan, and they're going to shoot it and dynamite it with tanks, and they're going to dynamite it for 3 straight days and obliterate the Buddhas while the world watches in horror. Fragments have been found and have been trying to collect what they can. And so discussion is still happening. Do we rebuild it? Do we not? There have been multimedia installations here at this site to commemorate it, where they've used light to project into the space, the images of the Buddhas. But this is, one of the largest examples of iconoclasm, the smashing of images that we've seen. It is the largest in the 21st century. Okay. So again, it is this very, very large complex. Now, Buddhist monks don't live here anymore. You can tour the site, but mostly here in the Bamiyan Valley, the people who live in the caves now are the poor. So go ahead and give this a watch. It is going to show you the destruction and kind of it will show you footage of the bombing of this site. And then kind of just tell you the story about it a little bit more. Okay, so we've got our smaller Buddha, our Sakyamuni Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama. Sakyamuni is Siddhartha Gautama. And we've got the Vairocana Buddha, the universal Buddha, depicted. Again, it was at the end of the Silk Road and became a pilgrimage site and a home for hundreds of monks. All right. the niche-shaped mandorlas that contained the statues. Originally, they would have been painted and they would have been covered in gold. So these would have been very, very beautiful and impressive in their day. Now, you can click here and you can read here. They are going to find other rooms and debris and other things and other smaller statues and stuff in the melee afterwards. So it is interesting kind of what the destruction revealed. And should they be rebuilt? Again, here's arguments for and against rebuilding. Okay. This clip is not specifically to the Bamiyan Buddhas, but it is reconstructing Afghanistan's Buddhas. Other statues that were destroyed by the Taliban. This wasn't the only thing that they did. They destroyed thousands of Buddhist images, considering them to be pagan. Okay. Oops. So these are the pieces that we have that we're going to have our quiz on for next time. These are pieces that speak to Buddhism. The Great Stupa, Sanchi, a very, very early stupa form, said to be the home of represent the burial mound, of the Buddha, as well as contain relics. The stupa mountain, the cosmic mountain that is Borobudur in Indonesia. The Jowo Rinpoche, the most important statue in Tibetan Buddhism, that is said to be carved from the likeness, sculpted from the likeness, the actual sitting likeness of Siddhartha Gautama. The Longmen Caves with Wu Zetian's Vairocana Buddha, and the Bamiyan Buddhas in Afghanistan destroyed by the Taliban in 2001. Okay, so that is Buddhism. Next time we'll tune in and we're going to talk China and go from there. Thanks for playing, friends, and have an amazing